We're live, so welcome along this evening to InspireTalk, and we have a fantastic show for you this evening. A very, very special expert we have to present to you tonight, and I'm really excited about it. Of course, InspireTalk is at the leading edge of technology today because we're online, on the air, and we have myself coming from the Gold Coast. I'm Stuart Harris. We have my co-host, Federico Ree. He's coming from Melbourne. And of course our guest is not too far away from me actually, she's up in Brisbane, but we wouldn't be able to do this without this technology. And of course it's all about reach, so when we talk about reach and being online, we're talking about where a lot of our audiences are today, and this is something we have to take on board and accommodate in terms of building our business, and we'll be talking a bit about that going forward. What I'd like to do now is introduce my co-host, Federico Ree. Good to have you along tonight.
G'day, Stuart. It's a pleasure to be here tonight again. It's always fun to connect with you on this platform of Google Hangout, and more importantly, to meet amazing guests like Julie. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Google Hangouts is something we've been talking about tonight, and there is some quirks with the technology, but look, it's come a long, long way, and here we are going live right across the world right now, so it's very exciting. But can I just invite you, Federico, just to give us a couple of comments about InspireTalk and what that's doing and how it's working for us?
Absolutely, Stuart. Look, our program's been running approximately for about 6 months officially, but prior to that we've had a bit of a track record of interviewing guest speakers on our Google Hangouts show. Its objective is to attract what we call game changers, or people in the industry, whatever it is, whether it's about business, whether it's about TV, whether it's about entrepreneurship, and it's about learning from our guest speakers and how they go about developing their business in the industry, how they innovate, how they transform the industry, how they disrupt the industry is what it's all about. And our listeners are hopefully those aspiring entrepreneurs or those people in business that simply want to learn more or want to simply be inspired by the great experiences and insights of our guest speakers and ourselves too.
Yeah, awesome, and that's a very succinct summary of it too, so I appreciate that. So look, I'm not going to prolong this because I really want to get into this right now. Our guest tonight is an incredible expert, in fact probably one of the best LinkedIn experts that we would have in Australia. She's often known as a lead generator, has been known as the social media princess. But I think now she spends a lot of her time and emphasis in terms of coaching on one social media platform. And we're going to find out very, very soon, but what I'd like to do now is introduce to you Julie Mason. Welcome along, Julie.
Thank you, Stuart. I'm delighted to be here and for some golden around with all your listeners tonight.
Yeah, and it's great to have you here too. For our listeners, we're probably experiencing a little bit of technical problems there, so please excuse us for that, but hopefully that'll go away. Julie, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing, where you've come from, and your business today?
Sure. So my background is 25 years in sales and 15 of those years in door-to-door cold calling. So I've kind of come from the queen of rejection to the social media princess, and I discovered that cold calling wasn't as effective as it was much earlier in my career, and that there were other more effective ways of generating leads. And I came across social media about 9 years ago, and online marketing, businesses, as well as now teaching others the proven methods that work for me that now work for them as well. So that's been fun. But LinkedIn has become probably for me the pinnacle over the last 2.5 years. I've specialized in that because the quality of the leads that I get are just chalk and cheese when it comes to LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. LinkedIn have just got such better quality leads that come through, and so I tend to play in that space now.
Yeah, look, I've noticed too that a lot of the posts that I put into LinkedIn carry much more weight and go a lot further very, very quickly. And it's been quite enlightening to watch these things happening. So I'm definitely changing my approach to LinkedIn as we speak. Tell us a bit about what your typical client would look like, and how do they benefit from what you provide in terms of coaching on LinkedIn?
Sure. So my typical client is generally a small to medium business owner or entrepreneur or professional, that is looking to generate better quality leads for their business. So they're usually coming to me because their business is starting to slow down in some format in terms of lead generation. Maybe some of the typical lead generation funnels that they've used are no longer working as effectively, and they're looking for something that will give them that edge to pick up business again, or to actually even hunt for business, and be really targeted about it. So I have a wide variety of industries that I help with, from I've got 2 film producers that are currently working with me at the moment, to business coaches, accountants, trying to think of the most extreme, scaffolding businesses that I help with. So it is quite diverse, and it can be anything from health and wellness industry through to accountants, through to positioning people as the thought leader in their industry, essentially, depending on what it is that you want to do. There's very little that I don't help with, but I will make this point. If you do have a product, like a retail product such as clothing or end consumer needs that people want to physically buy, like wedding cakes or things like that, I'm not sure that LinkedIn is the best platform for you, depending on your strategy. So if you're looking to suggest that there'd probably be other methods for that, but if you're looking to generate strategic alliances and find wholesalers and suppliers that you can connect with, then LinkedIn may well be the right place for you to play.
Federico, I think you had a question to follow in there.
I do, Stuart. I guess my question, Julie, is really understanding how to leverage on the power of LinkedIn, and perhaps even go further to say leveraging on the power of social media. And I know for myself personally that it can be a vast open sea, and yes, there are lots of opportunities, but really trying to press the right button and actually get the ultimate result with the effort you put into LinkedIn, for me, has always proven to be a challenge, and I'm sure for a lot of professionals and startup business owners that can often be a challenge for them as well. So in a nutshell, how do you kind of build that online presence, say, on LinkedIn effectively within short periods of time? Is there such a thing? Like, can you develop that that brand recognition, say, within 12 months?
Absolutely. In fact, you can do it in less. You just need to have a really good strategy around that, and that's what most people lack. They're doing this very ad hoc. So you really want to be very clear around what your value proposition is on your personal profile, and really demonstrate how you help people on LinkedIn. When they look at your profile, they clearly know what it is that you can do to help, answer their problem, their question, their need, whatever it might be. So having your personal profile, really well written, well thought out, and very strategic in terms of its calls to action and what you want to achieve with that, is important. And most people think that they've done their profile well, but I can tell you, having looked at thousands of them, that most people are not using it effectively, and there are common mistakes that they make. The other thing is building your connections, and you can rapidly build to large number of connections, and they're quality connections, people that you want to be, in your funnel, so to speak. And it just requires consistency in your activities on LinkedIn to be able to do that. That would be one of the things I'd say. Want to build a great brand very quickly. And by the way, build a great business and start a great business just using your LinkedIn profile without even having a website ready yet. So a lot of people think that they need to have the website sort of set up before they can start doing business, but LinkedIn actually gives you that ability if you use your profile and the LinkedIn platform correctly to actually start doing business without even having a website. Not that I'm condoning not having a website, you do want to have one, but it does give you that option to get going very quickly.
That's certainly some great advice, Julie. And look, I can personally say that whilst having a great profile and having all the aspects or elements correctly set up, there still always is the challenge of developing that funnel or that sales funnel in actually getting people who are connected with you to actually come forward and purchase your product or service. So I guess my next question is about the sales funnel. How do you effectively achieve that, or can you give an example of a client that perhaps you have worked with where the sales funnel has proven effective?
Sure, absolutely. Many examples, but we'll stick with just one. So to give you very clear examples, one of the things that I need to say straight up, you don't want to be necessarily selling on LinkedIn. What you do want to do is ensure that your sales funnel process leads them perhaps to your website or to having a phone conversation with you if you haven't got a website set up yet. Depending on your product, what your offering is, take them off LinkedIn and develop the sale from there. But what you want to do, and what I teach, is how to take somebody from connection to conversation with you rapidly. And it doesn't actually involve selling. It comes from a place of service as opposed to selling, which is a very different space, and it transforms actually the sales process as well, because it becomes one that's built on trust, one that's all about them as opposed to all about your agenda, but it still serves your agenda at the end of the day. So to give you an example, I had a client, many clients, but I'll give you one in particular that pops to mind. Jane came to work with me about 1.5 years ago. She runs a printing business. She was struggling with how to describe herself in a very competitive market. We pimped her profile, so to speak, or tweaked her profile and made it really zing for her. And what her goal was to find clients that were spending around $50 printing budget per month, so around $20,000 to $40,000 a year in their budget. So we really defined who that target market was. And then we went after them on LinkedIn and started the connection to conversation process. So she found a chap on LinkedIn and connected with him and started the process that I taught her. He immediately said, "Oh no, we're very loyal with our current printer, very happy with him." And I said, "Keep going, keep going, Jane, and develop that relationship, because you never take the first no." I come from sales background, never take the first no. It's always a not now. You haven't convinced them of the benefit yet. So don't be put off by the first no. You've got to build trust. You've got to earn that right to be able to ask for the sale. So she followed the process that I told her, had a meeting with him. They had a great discussion about an interest he was involved in at the time. We didn't get to talk about my business at all, and I said, "That's perfect." The next day he placed a small order with her, and I said, she rang me up, she said, "What do I do?" I said, "He's testing you, do great work." And she rang me a week later to say that he'd given her the entire contract. And this is a person who a week before had said, "No, we're very loyal to our current printer, thank you very much." And within a week was happy to actually hand over a $40,000 printing contract. So there is an art and an elegance to this, and it can be very easy for you to do. It doesn't require you to be spamming yourself, so to speak, but there is an art to this, and I would call it relationship marketing.
They are great tips, Julie, and I guess for the listeners, just to summarise a couple of points you've made there, and you're talking about connections, converting connections to conversation is one point you've made, and the other one is really moving from selling to actually providing a service, and I really loved what you've said, and that resonates for me. I'll probably pass you back to Stuart. Stuart, you have a question?
Yeah, cheers, Federico. So, really good content. Thanks, Julie. We are talking to Julie Mason, and we are on InspireTalk Live with myself and Federico Ree. Julie's talking to us about LinkedIn and how you can pretty much use LinkedIn primarily as the one platform to do just about everything. So, we have got some really golden nuggets from her already. But look, I'm intrigued, Julie, because a lot of people use other social media platforms and have commercial success with them, and they could probably be sitting here right now, and there's a lot of people watching in right now, wondering about, why you wouldn't want to try Facebook and why you wouldn't want to use Pinterest and things like that. So perhaps in reversing my question around, how could you do away with these other platforms, not spend so much time in there and spend the time in LinkedIn achieving what you want to achieve?
That's a really good question, and I would suggest that you want to do a test and measure of where you get your best results from on each platform, and then focus your attention. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule. Focus your attention on where you get 80% of your results for 20% of your effort, perhaps. And what those results might be. Let me just be really clear. Even though I focus on LinkedIn, I still have Pinterest and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and I use all of those. But in terms of generating, for my business, and I spend most of my time on LinkedIn, and because I know that's going to return for my time and effort a greater percentage of my income than what Facebook and Twitter will, for example.
Yes, and so it's a really important thing to work through, and I think obviously you've got to go through that testing process to work out what's required and what works and what doesn't work. But if we're going to go down the path of LinkedIn, and we go into a sales funnel scenario, and we're aiming to get to these conversations, how do we do that in a way that maintains credibility around our brand, our message, and doesn't create a spammy representation?
Great question again. So basically what you want to do is, again, have your profile really well thought out, really well fleshed out as well, lots of value proposition in there. And of course, on your personal profile, and I know I'm focusing on this, but everything on LinkedIn hinges off your personal profile. So it is your greatest leverage on LinkedIn. It can join groups, it can add discussions, it can do published posts, it can do status updates. It is by far, it can personally message people. It's by LinkedIn, in my opinion. But in terms of creating all of this that keeps you in integrity, the thing to do is to add value to the network. So post content that is of great value to your ideal target market, because they're who you want to attract. So make sure that that what you're posting is really relevant to them, that it will attract them into your funnel. Make sure your headlines of your group discussions and of your published posts are eye-catching, that grab their attention. By the way, just a little tip here for anyone who is doing published posts, research shows that ending your headline on a published post with a question actually drops readership. Quite fascinating around that. So, make sure that your headlines are, eye-catching and grabbing, and things like 7 tips to, generating better results for your coaching clients, something like that is going to be more eye-catching. 24 top categories on the published post section that get more eyeballs than any other category. And when you write your published post, for example, there are tags, 3 tags that you can apply. So be mindful of what those tags are, and we teach our clients which one's the top 24 categories so that they know how to play in that space and get more bang for their buck as well, and how to distribute your content. So it's really about positioning yourself as that expert by sharing great value, and from that, business will come as well. It becomes that attraction marketing funnel, which is It's just fantastic. It makes the sale easier. It makes the process of building a relationship so much easier as well.
I've got a question for you, Julie, and a lot of what you just said makes me think of competition, or your own competition. And you know, like in your industry, there are lots of LinkedIn experts and so forth, and in my industry, there are lots of coaches and leaders and so forth, all proclaiming to be the best. Fundamentally, how do you get to the top of all of that, whilst there are millions of other LinkedIn users fighting for that top spot? So despite having a squeaky clean profile and the most attractive photo and engaging content, is there anything else that you can probably throw on the table and say, try this one as well, because that will most likely help you get to the top?
Great question. Yes, optimize your profile for keywords. So that you rank on certain. Make sure that you get endorsements and recommendations on those skills to those keywords. That will help raise you up in the search engines. But can I just share from personal experience what has built my reputation in this market and why I seem to be up at the creme de la creme of LinkedIn experts, certainly in Australia and if not worldwide. And the thing that I have done is consistently delivered exceptional content. I've been very generous with my knowledge and my tips, and so that positions me as an expert within my field and draws those people towards me. So it's about being consistent. People want to know that you're going to be steady on your course of your business, that you're not flip-flopping from one thing to another, and become the master at it. So really, if you're in a very broad niche, then tighten that niche, become a specialist in one section of it, as I have done. I've gone from teaching all social media, where I'm kind of jack of all trades, to being a specialist. It was a game changer for me. It allowed me to increase my pricing, increase my branding around that whole thing. So it's been an absolute game changer.
Great tips, Julie. Certainly I've got a lot myself I can learn from what you've said. And I've got another question for you in relation to size. Does size actually matter in terms of how many connections you have? And I've certainly come across people who have in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of connections. Is that necessarily a good thing? And also in terms of endorsements, is it great to have those 99 plus endorsements across many different subcategories? Is that really key in LinkedIn, in the LinkedIn world?
Well, unfortunately, we live in a world of perception is reality. So in some instances, yes, it is important. Let me just go to the first part of that question in regards to connections. There is a status plus connections on LinkedIn. So if you are currently watching this and you have under 500 connections, my advice is to get to the 500 plus as soon as you can. Build those connections. Don't be afraid to reach out to people that you build relationships with, notches on the bedpost of the LinkedIn connecting cycle. So I would suggest that that you do want to build connections. And there is a rule of thumb on LinkedIn that the most of us experts are aware of, that the more connections you have, the greater your income will be because of the opportunity it affords you. So you definitely want to build those connections. Here's the rub though, LinkedIn will only give you a lifetime of 3,000 invites to send out. There are ways around that. In fact, you can actually apply to them to ask for more. But there are ways, and it isn't restricted to those. So by positioning yourself, by adding content, it will raise your profile in LinkedIn. The more active you are, the higher up the search engine in LinkedIn you will go as well. The more invitations you will get, and that increases your overall network. Currently, I get about 40 to 60 a week, roughly, and I'm constantly adding. But I'm not connecting with every single person. There are people that I won't connect with. In terms of endorsements, yes, you do definitely want to have your endorsements hit the 99 plus. Again, it's perception is reality. However, you want to make sure that you're bringing being endorsed for the right things. So LinkedIn will encourage people to endorse you for all sorts of different keywords that they're reading in the algorithm off your profile. So sometimes you'll go, why am I being endorsed for this particular thing? Microsoft Office, for instance, where that's not something I'm focusing on as an entrepreneur coach, in your instance, Federico. So I would suggest then that you delete that skill off your skills section on your profile and make sure you tighten it up for all the skills that you do want, because you can actually rank on the search engine within LinkedIn on your skills section. So it's definitely important to do.
Some excellent advice, Julie. Thanks for those golden nuggets. I'm sure I'll go away and relook at my LinkedIn profile and do a few enhancements there even tonight. Back to you, Stuart.
Yeah, thanks, Federico. And look, we're InspireTalk. That was Federico Ree. I'm Stuart Harris, and we're interviewing Julie Mason, and she's giving us some expert tips on LinkedIn and why it's so good for us to utilise today. We're actually getting a bit of a buzz on the network, guys. So we've got a question come in. You okay to take a question right now, Julie?
Sure.
So this one is from Lara, I think it is. She says, do you recommend using video to reach those clients on LinkedIn?
Okay, so do I recommend using video? Lara, that's a great question. I'm assuming you're talking about adding video to the bottom of your summary or your experience area, as that is the main place that you can do it. I'm thinking of where else you could add video on LinkedIn, and it could be as a YouTube link on a post that you do, or within a published post. All of those are great to do, and in fact, the more color, as I like to call it, that you can add to your personal LinkedIn profile, the better. So definitely add some YouTube video there, some video testimonials, some PowerPoint presentations. You can upload those through SlideShare, which is in the Interest tab of LinkedIn, and add some great color to your profile where people can see a little bit more inside your business than the standard text version that LinkedIn give us. It was a little unclear as to what you were planning on doing with the video, but I hope that answers your question. If you want to clarify a little more, please do.
Awesome, thanks for that, Julie. I've got another one here from Stephen. He says he's a little bit unsure about what you're talking about with endorsements. He says, what are the endorsements, and how do you maintain control around the terms that people will use for that endorsement? Not quite sure if he's on the right space, but anyway, I hope you understand that one.
Okay. I think so. So endorsements create a lot of confusion for people. That I get often, pretty much all the time, is why are people endorsing me when they don't know me and they've never worked with me and they're endorsing me for a skill? I need to just say, people, let it go. The reason they're endorsing you is that they've hopped onto LinkedIn, and LinkedIn have prompted them and said, would you like to endorse these connections for X, Y, Z? And because they want to be a good citizen on LinkedIn and they want you to like them, they've clicked endorse without concern or care. And it's not that they don't care, it's just that they want to be a good LinkedIn citizen, and so they've done that. But there will be a measure of people out of 99 plus endorsements on a particular skill that literally know you for doing that work. So I always say, where there's smoke, there's fire. So whilst you might have a large percentage that don't know you're good at that particular thing, there will be a percentage of them that do know. So we kind of need to just relax and let that go. But recommendations are absolutely critical to establishing your reputation and your credibility. It's like your reputation holder, if you like, on LinkedIn. So they must be written by another LinkedIn first connection of yours, the person you're directly connected to on LinkedIn, and they must come through LinkedIn through their recommendation process to land on your profile. And they're valuable, and I urge everyone to start asking your great clients to give you a recommendation on LinkedIn, because that's absolute gold. In terms of editing, coming back to endorsements for a second, in terms of editing them, simply go to LinkedIn, go to my profile, and you'll come down to the skills section, click add skill on the top right hand part of that section of the skills area. It will turn all of those endorsements that you currently have there into a grey text box with a cross next to it, and you can edit and even click and drag them. The ones that are at the bottom, which you really want to get endorsements for, you can drag them up into the top 10 so they get the higher priority of endorsements. So it's a way you can edit and order your endorsements. I hope that answers the question, Stuart.
Yeah, thanks, Julie, and thanks for those questions, both Lara and Stephen. Really appreciate those coming in. So, Julie, one question I'd like to ask, and possibly could be some of our audience watching in now, is if I'm new to this and I've never been on any social media whatsoever, but I've got a business and I know that I need to get online and develop some sort of reach through an online capacity. What would be your advice to somebody watching in that situation? Because there's a lot of these people still out there, right?
Yeah. So my advice is that if you're brand new in business and you're just starting out on social media and you're a bit flummoxed and confused by everything that's available, if your target market tends to be business to business, then definitely start with a LinkedIn profile and really flesh that out. And here's why. Something we haven't really spoken about tonight, but LinkedIn and Google have this love-love relationship. So, and Google tell us that 92% of people will stalk you or search you, as I like to call it stalking, but search you before doing business with you. Your LinkedIn profile actually ranks very highly. So just a little bit of homework for everyone on the call, just Google your name and see where your LinkedIn profile ranks on those Google search, because it will generally outrank your website, even if your website is under your own name, as mine is. So LinkedIn will give you great Google love, as we like to call it, from an SEO standpoint, and certainly enhance your online presence. But also don't neglect the fact that Facebook and Instagram in particular, I would say, is the big up-and-coming one at the moment that's getting great traction for business. And there's lots and lots of talk. I went to an internet marketing conference recently in Sydney, and everyone there was raving about Snapchat, which I have to say I'm still getting my head around, but I'm on there. You can connect with me, I'm still learning it, but Snapchat is really moving very quickly if you know how to use it for business as well. So, there's a couple of tips. But depending on what your product or your business is, as I said, if it's business to business, LinkedIn, honey, go LinkedIn. If it's end user, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, get on all of them and learn. You're going to be in the ride of your life at the moment, and you need to really understand how social media is changing the way we communicate. And the people who are successful, I think the quote goes at the moment, the people who are going to be successful today and in the future are those who learn, unlearn, and relearn, and you need to do that quickly. Don't get stuck in a rut with what you think is working at the moment. Always keep evolving your business.
Awesome, thanks, Julie. Now, look, I in terms of success, you've mentioned that a wee bit in the last few sentences. You yourself have become extremely successful with this. What would be your advice to our audience in terms of personal success? What kind of recipe could you offer to help them become successful in whatever business endeavor they're doing?
Okay, thank you. Great question. Be very clear about what it is that you offer. Be really sure about your product, service, and the outcome it delivers for your client. Always be results focused and client service focused. I think those who are really successful today and that have the ongoing success that I see across the market and for myself is the fact that I am client focused. I'm really passionate about serving my clients well and helping them get results. And those that I see who do the same are in that same mindset. So come from that place of service rather than that place of what's in it for me. And the other thing is consistency. Be very consistent in your brand, in your offering, in your integrity, in the value that you bring, you know, and be as authentic today as you can. You know, we spoke about this last week, when you first saw me speak in the Gold Coast some years back, I consider myself back then a bit of a hot mess, because I came from what I call a 15 years of cold calling, where the technique to get somebody to trust you was to mirror them. And so you mirrored their body language, their talk, their phrases that they used, and you said those back to them, and that builds trust in a one-on-one thing. Just a little sales tip for some of you out there. But when you get on stage and you talk to 110 people, you can't do that. So I didn't know, when you first saw me speak, I didn't know who I was in that environment. And it took me a couple of years to really find my own and to be really centered with who I am as a person and confident in the value that I offer. And that's a journey. It's not going to happen necessarily overnight for some people. It's a journey, and it's one that I constantly work on. I'm constantly working on my mindset, on my strategy, on what I'm bringing next year to my clients and the years ahead, and how technology, and Facebook themselves even say they are not going to be here forever. They know that technology will evolve and another platform will come out, but they want to have the base that people then rely on. So, they're preparing. The biggest company essentially in the world with the largest database of 1.5 million people already knows that they're going to be out of the game in a few years down the track. They're planning for that. And that's a really good one for all of us to take. What's happening in your industry? Be aware of the change of strategy accordingly.
Yeah, good advice. Thanks for that, Julie. And it's very interesting to watch how Facebook is managing that process, and even Google to some extent are also engaging in a process of anticipating what's coming through in terms of their development and possible demise. Fed, can I hand back to you for another question?
I've probably got a few questions, but I won't drag it out that far. I can really relate well to what you say, Julie, in terms of that innovation, disrupting the industry, and I guess challenging the status quo, learning, using technology as best as you can, and they are very much the fundamentals of successful entrepreneurship, which I can personally relate to. What I wanted to do quickly is sneak in another question about LinkedIn, and maybe then draw a close regarding tonight's program in terms of your offering and how you can actually help people. So my second last question is about LinkedIn once again. I know that you can pay for LinkedIn, so initially you have a basic plan. At what point is it advisable to actually upgrade your basic plan, say, to a premium plan and take advantage of additional functionality?
Great question, and asked often as well, so I'm sure your audience is going to be very keen to hear the answer on this. Essentially, with the free version, in fact, it gives you the ability to join groups, to open up your own company page, to connect with people. You're going to have limited availability on your search functionality and limited availability of what you see of people's profiles in its entirety, because LinkedIn want to push the premium offer. So that's their business model. They have premium offer, they have Sales Navigator, and they have the recruitment offers for recruitment companies and HR companies. Essentially, I used the the free version for about 4 years when I started on LinkedIn, and have been a premium member now for about 3. And I highly recommend it. But I'll say this: you want to have a strategy or want to be consistently active on LinkedIn in order to get the return on investment. The current premium offer that most business owners would go for would be about 60 Australian dollars a month, and you'll find that it does give you a lot more availability. The things I love about it is that it shows me every profile that's viewed my profile, so every member that's viewed my profile on LinkedIn, and it breaks it down, and I can categorize, so it will tell me what what position they hold in their company. It might be salesperson or managing director or accountant, whatever it might be. And I can click on those, and it will then filter all those profiles to show me who are all the salespeople that have been looking at my profile. And I can then check that I'm connected to all of them. If I'm not, I can reach out and connect to them and say, hey, I noticed you visited my profile. Is there anything I can help you with? Meanwhile, let's connect. Cheers, Julie. So it's about establishing that relationship and opening up a conversation on LinkedIn. And, I think for me, the search function, literally, guys, use the search box at the top of LinkedIn. Think of it like opening up a pirate's chest of treasure inside there, because LinkedIn is the most amazing, powerful sales tool you will ever get in terms of business to business and other markets as well. I mean, health and wellness market is very big on LinkedIn as well. But get involved in it. Start using it. You can't break it. It's a phenomenally powerful tool. So, but I would suggest either have a conversation with me, get a free LinkedIn strategy session off my website at juliemason.com.au, and apply for a free strategy session with me about what is the best option for you and what your needs are for LinkedIn, or the offer that we've got for everybody here on the call tonight as well.
Awesome information, Julie. I can certainly once again take that away and look at opening up that treasure chest and really discovering the potential of LinkedIn. So I'm sure the listeners will be taking lots of notes tonight. And thanks again also for the offer you are giving our listeners. I guess I'm conscious of your precious time tonight. It's also approaching sort of the 9 o'clock mark, and perhaps we might draw it to a close. But before we do that, maybe I'll give it back to you, Stuart.
Yeah, so look, I do want to draw attention to the offer that Julie presents to us tonight, and it's highlighted in her lower third when you see her screen, but I will pass back to Julie. Julie, can you tell us a little bit about what you're offering our audience tonight?
Sure, Stuart, thank you. For those of you who are really wanting to improve your learning and really harness the power of LinkedIn immediately, I've put my entire knowledge. I'm just thrilled with this program that I've put together, because it literally will take you step by step through how to set up your profile for maximum effect, to really create that magnetic client attracting profile, to how to take people from connection to conversation easily and elegantly, and much, much more. Linked sales formula, you can see it down the bottom here underneath my my logo, my name. Go there. It's an amazing program, and you'll get tons of support from me as well. We have every month we have a group coaching call where you can get live, kind of like this Hangout, where we can get live and you can ask me any questions. You can get critiques on your summaries, your headlines, your strategy, ask advice, what should you do in different situations. You have lifetime access to this program. It's not just for 12 months. It is actually ongoing for years to come. And many of my programs like this have been going for 5 years now, so I assume that this one will be as well. It will be constantly updated. And I'd love to be able to support you on your LinkedIn journey and really help you get great results.
Fantastic, Julie. So that's linkedsalesformula.com. We're going to put that link on the event page, and of course this show tonight will go up onto YouTube and will be there for some time, so you'll be able to pop back in and just have a look and just see what it is that we've gone over and some of the really exciting key points. In terms of key points, what I'd like to do is ask Julie to think about 2 or 3 leaving nuggets that our audience can take away with them. And while she's doing that, I'll pass back to Federico just to talk about the guests coming up in InspireTalk.
Absolutely, Stuart. So we've got a number of exciting guests coming up shortly. Next week on the 26th of April, same time, same bat channel, we have Nikki Nowak. She's a leadership and communication expert, so I'm sure we can learn a lot from her. And in May, we have another very exciting guest, Jack Delosa, founder and CEO of The Entourage. So we certainly we will be looking forward to those speakers in the upcoming weeks. So hopefully that'll give Julie enough time to think about the response to Stuart's question. So back to you, Julie.
Okay, so here are a couple of great takeaways for everyone here on the call and who are listening to the recording. First of all, really look at your profile. Make sure your value proposition is in your headline, in your summary. It's well fleshed out. That your experience, and by the way, your current experience is, detailing more on the methodology of what you do in terms of helping your clients as well. And build those recommendations and endorsements, build that reputation, post consistently on LinkedIn, and by consistently I don't mean that you have to do a published post every day or every week, but do a great quality published post that people resonate with, that they really dig their teeth into. Make sure it's great quality, and it will go a long way. Join targeted groups where your clients are hanging out, and start to listen in on the tone of the conversation, value, and of course build a strong network of people who are your target market, and build the relationships. Please, guys, don't just do the notches on the bedpost of connection. Send them a personal message when you connect. It's such great etiquette to do that. And when they've accepted it, continue that conversation on with them. It is pure gold in that area. But yeah, all of that and so much more. I could keep going, but I just don't have time.
Well, thanks, Julie. Look, for me, the treasure chest has certainly been opened, and now I'm looking at it thinking, wow, there's so much to learn. So, look, thanks for me personally. Thank you for your time tonight, Julie. It's been an absolute pleasure. Certainly highly valuable to us and to our audience, I'm sure. And hopefully we'll stay in touch. And I'll pass it back to Stuart.
Yeah, thanks, Federico. Fantastic to have you on the show tonight, Julie. I've really enjoyed it, and I look forward to catching up again a bit more in the future. For our audience, look out for our shows coming up in the next couple of weeks. And with that, we're going to sign out. So thank you very much for watching in this evening.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.